Mm. Hello, everyone. Hi, I am so glad to join you all and to have you all join me today for another edition of PLM. People like me, Denise Jenkins. I um, have taken the privilege um, to do a part two on the segment addressing the big elephant in the room. Now we got to say our prayer first, okay? And we're going to get started. So here we go. Heavenly Father, I come to you humble today, asking for your blessings over this podcast, for you to show your grace, your mercy over this podcast. I bless your name. And because of your Son, Jesus Christ, I have been delivered. I am on my way. I am so thankful that you put me on the right path to get me on my way. Nothing I have done, nothing I have ever gotten. I never got it on my own. You got it for me. You did it for me. You get all the glory over my life, over everyone I know and love. You get the glory for the people that you have brought into my life, that you have blessed me with the privilege of knowing. Thank you so much, Father, that you put it in my mind and on my heart to speak about this subject because it's very important. Lord, I pray that the people that need to see this see it, the people that need to hear this message hear it, and that they get a blessing out of this message in hopes of changing and encouraging the minds of my people and encouraging the people who think like me to take action and do the same thing that I am doing, speaking up and speaking out. In Jesus' name, I pray that you use me as a tree that bear fruit of knowledge, wisdom, courage, understanding, and strength, Father. I pray that you bless me to be able to feed those fruits to your children so that I can bring them to an understanding and we stand on one accord. For we are one people created by one God, and that one God is you, the great I am. Thank you so much. Thank you. In Jesus' name, I thank you, and in Jesus' name, I pray. Hello, everyone. Again, I say this is Denise Jenkins with another edition of PLM, People Like Me. Now, the importance of this podcast is to break down the barrier of the mindset of my people in the nation of Black America. You may call it the ghetto, the trenches, the jungle, the hood, whatever you call it. Statistics is still going to label it as the inner city Blacks. Deception of the mind is one thing that I want to get across to you. Because if someone can put something in your mind and get you to believe it and behave according to what you believe, then that's what you will do. One thing that we have to know as people and as Black Americans, we must know our value. We have to know our worth. We have to know that we are priceless and we cannot be bought. Once you understand that part about yourself, then you will not be so easily bought off to do something you would not normally do and not by your own will, by someone else's. Okay? Now, I had an interesting conversation with a very interesting person. And the way he broke it down to me is he said years ago that the ghetto was created by the government. That's years ago. He said this. In the early 80s, we had a crack epidemic, epidemic. in the Black community and Brown communities throughout the world. Those were in the 80s. It's 2024. The government supposedly created the ghetto that was centuries, decades ago. It's 2024. The point I'm making here is your mindset, how you're thinking, how you've been taught to believe that you are a product of your environment, and you are not. You're not a product of the environment. Wherever you come from does not reflect who you are. Your past does not determine your future destination as well. No longer are Black people being held back, not by racist people, not by this government that everyone keeps trying to blame things on. The government is not my next door neighbor. No, the government is not my hater that have my complexion. That's in my race. The big elephant in the room needs to be addressed. Who you really are pointing the finger at now. All those times are over when we were enslaved or when we were being lynched or when our people were being taken out so easily. Now, sometimes those things are still occurring in the USA. Yes, it is. But now we have this new thing that we say Black Lives Matter. But when I look at Black Lives mattering to me, it does. My life matters. My Black life matters. But it doesn't matter to some. Do you understand where I'm coming from here? My life matters. My Black life matters. It doesn't matter if a racist white person takes my life or a Black person takes my life. My Black life matters. And that's the way I would like to get all my people to thinking that your life matters, that there is value to you. Now, when we're all thrust together, it doesn't really matter where we live, it's how you live, where you live at. Now, the problem that we have in Black America is simply some of us not being able to accept some of us. If I don't come out to play and I'm a little child, then I'm a nerd. If my family does not associate or not say I would associate, we speak, say hello, but we get into our car and we go and handle our business, what we got to do, and that's where we're at. And then you have those who like to be out the door. People who live in these hoods and ghettos and trenches and jungles is what they have renamed where we are at. But no one has done that but us. Our people do it. Not me personally, but other Blacks in Black America have renamed these places. Now, they used to say that we act like animals, but that's not true. But if you're going around saying that you came from the jungle, what's in the jungle? Animals. But that's not what we are. Many centuries ago, there was a guy who said that Black people had to be tamed because we had tails. And this went on to be believed for many years that Black people had a tail like a monkey. And we do not have a tail like a monkey. And we never had one. But that was said. It was written in a book, it was published. And people read this and believed it. They were being deceived in their minds. Deception about us. Every Black person in Black America is not the same. You have workers and you have people who don't work. You have people who are disabled by law, and then you have people who are disabled because they're lazy and they don't want to do anything. It's not hard for you to get up and go do what you're supposed to do. When you know your value, then you cannot be fooled. When you know who you are, you cannot be fooled. The drugs in our neighborhood aren't put in our neighborhood by us, is what people used to say. But if I decide one day that's not what I want to do anymore, my people will incriminate me for that reason. For that short period of time in my life, I will be labeled for the rest of my life. Why? Why is that? Because we're not all the same and we do not all think the same way. When we view the place where I am, some say this is a big crab hole. And if you try to get out, the crabs at the bottom are going to try to pull you back in when you try to get out of it. Now, this is the seaport, and there's a lot of crabs here, but the crabs have no way out. That's because they're not thinking on a level of getting themselves out. If everyone thought the same, because you cannot say that because we grow up in poor conditions, that we're going to grow up and be criminals, that we're going to grow up and break the law, that we're going to grow up and be addicted to drugs. That's been written years ago. Years ago, we had a Condoleezza Rice who grew up in the projects. Hmm, isn't that something? Wow. We have had so many people to come out of the hood or the inner city who have become successful people and they're making their way to the top. We have had so many success stories, and then we have a lot of bad stories as well. Now, let me tell you something. When you are deceived in your mind to believe that you're never going to get out of this place, you have to understand that is just something that someone wants for us. You got to want more. You got to thrive for more. So when I talk to children, my children or anyone else's children, I let them know it is okay to be different. It is okay to be a square, to be a nerd, to be that. It is okay to do it because that makes you an individual. You stand out. You don't want to be like everybody else and blend in. You don't want to do that. You want to step out of the norm. You don't want that in your life. So when we start to talk about Black people in poor conditions and poor neighborhoods and living poorly, and we're going to be criminals and all that stuff, that's not true. We are not all destined for the same life. We're not. And I don't want to be constantly accused because of what a group of Black people have done, how they act, how they live. I don't want to be constantly accused and all of us put in the same bucket because that's not true. All of us are not true. Some people in Black America, we learn from our mistakes and we better ourselves. We don't keep doing the same thing over and over and over. You become and co is spelled COH, and COH, creature of habit. So when you become a creature of habit, That means you are doing the same thing over and over. You are becoming a creature of habit when you do the same thing every day. Someone can pinpoint you because they know what you're going to do tomorrow. They're going to know what you're going to do at 9:30 tonight. They know what you're going to be doing at 6:30 in the morning because you do it every day. Change is good. I see here where they say the government versus the ghetto. That was years ago. It's a due time for change. A due time for change. And I know that I'm not the only one who thinks this way. It's just that a lot of my people don't want to speak out because they're afraid to speak up. But I'm not afraid to speak up. I am not afraid to address this big elephant in the room. I am not afraid to tell you that in 2016 and 2013, blacks was killing each other. I'm not afraid to tell you that every year it escalates and get higher. Trayvon Martin was killed in 2016, but in 2019 there were 12,700 black on black crimes, deaths, 12,700 deaths of black people in black America from black on black crime. If I'm not mistaken, we had a black president that had a beautiful black wife with two beautiful black daughters and a beautiful black grandmother, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, at one point, we were not considered a minority. Why do you want to fall back into the narrative? Hmm. The big elephant in the room is how we treat each other. For those of you who haven't caught on yet, the big elephant in the room is how black men do not respect and protect the black woman anymore. The big elephant in the room is how black women treat other black women who they believe that are less than they are because of what they have or the education or whatever they may possess. But I am here to tell you, all of you King Ebenezer's, that you didn't get any of that on your own. I'm here to tell you that. I'm here to tell all of the kings and the queens who are out in this world, who are blessed to have things, that you didn't get it alone and you did not get it on your own. Time for change for us is a dire thing. We really need that. And when you can teach our people, because as it goes, each one teach one. So if I can teach you with my experience, what I've been through, and it could save your life, then I'm going to do that because there's no shame in my pain. If we can get together, change the narrative on how people look at us, even though people looking at us isn't really about who we are. But when we can prove people wrong, not just a few of us, but try to do a little bit more than what we have as a number of black people, what we can do in the black community, everyone has opportunity and choices. You have the opportunity to do and be whatever you want to be with education. You have a choice to go down the right path or the wrong path. You have a choice to go down the wrong path and change your life, or you can stay on that wrong path. We don't all start out with beautiful beginnings. Some of us start out with beautiful beginnings and we end up on the wrong path. But you got to have sense enough to know when to turn around, when to say, okay, I'm throwing in the towel. It's time for a change in my life. We do that. We do that. But our people do not help in the hood, in the ghetto, in the trenches, in the jungle. Some of my sisters and brothers are trying hard to change their lives. They're trying hard to be better than what they are. But what do we have to deal with? Our people every day, our people saying, trying to stop your growth, trying to cut you off, cut your feet off so you can't walk and get up out of there from around them. What are you afraid of? Is what I would like to ask them. Like, what are you afraid of? What are you upset about? Are you afraid that I'm going to go off and make it? Well, don't be afraid of that. Be glad about that. Because if I go off and I make it, then I can turn around and grab up my sisters and help them out and make it as well. When Moses was holding up his arms, because the Lord said, Moses, as long as you hold up your arms, the Hebrews are they're going to win this war. And when his arms began to get tired and they started to fall down, Aaron and her lift up his arms. And the more they lifted it, they held it up. So every time he got weak and was dropping, that's when the Hebrew slaves was losing. They were starting to lose the fight. But by Aaron and her coming together and holding up Moses' arms, they won the fight. They won the battle, the war. It was over. That's what we need to do. We need to be able to hold each other's arms up, lift every voice, and stand up for one another and stand up for something. Because we can go on and on and on about what the government did, but that's old now. Ronald Reagan has passed on, so the epidemic is over. It is time for a change. It is time for more than Denise Jenkins to stand and speak out. I need the rest of my people to do as well. Stand up and speak out. Black America, like I told you before, they may have some raggedy streets, raggedy buildings around and about, but that is not paid attention to. What's paid attention to is Black Americans, some of them in Black America, worrying about what somebody else is doing, trying to stop the flow of this person here and that person there, trying all they could to bring havoc and dismantle someone's life who's up here trying to make a difference. But let me tell you in this right here, I'm gonna let you in on the secret. It only works is if you allow that to work. Making a difference within yourself first, then you can change other things. That's how that goes. By making a difference within self. Now I can make a difference in my community because now I'm standing up for not just me, I got children. I have grandchildren. I have other family. I have friends from school who have children, grandchildren. My flight isn't empty. I have people aboard. I need more people aboard. So we need to stand together and stop playing the blame game. Coming together and asking for things that we need in the Black community, in our schools that's in our community, our elementary schools, our middle schools, our high schools. We need to expand our horizon and stop playing the blame game. We need to recognize our value as individuals and accept the differences that we have as individuals. Because if we live in the same neighborhood and I'm walking on the same raggedy streets that you're walking on, and you're driving in the hood in your Cadillac or your Escalade or whatever you got that's fancy, you are still under the same area code and zip code I'm in. You still riding past a building that's abandoned like me. So what makes our life so different? I don't look at the past of a person that has a colorful past. I don't look at them and go, I'm better than that. No, that's not what I look at and say I'm better than. I am better than the people who are trying to oppress me. I am stronger alone than all of those people grouped together trying to stop me. And that's the way our ancestors was years ago. We knew if we stood up for what was right, someone was hearing us. Someone was going to hear our voice, and more of us stood on the same accord. Do you know how many people used to come to see Malcolm X speak? How many people used to come to see Dr. King speak? It wasn't a 25 people, it was thousands of black people and white people coming to hear him. They were there to hear and help, some of them. And some of them were there because they were the FBI to come in to see. Do you know how they got next? MLK, by writing letters to him. They wrote a letter to him before his last speech and told him, if you make that speech, we will kill you. You might as well go head on and kill yourself now. Because if you make that speech, we are going to kill you. You want to know how they got next to Malcolm X? Someone black, thirsty for something. Everywhere he went, they knew where he was because of one of us, another black person, telling his whereabouts, where he going. What did he think was going to happen? You think that they were going to let him live? And he telling us how to be strong. He telling us to come together. He looking at us like, look, I've been in prison for 6 years, and look at me. I used to be a heroin addict, is what he would tell people. I used to be a thief. I used to sleep with white women, or it is nothing wrong with that. Okay, nothing wrong with that at all. But the brother Malcolm was the brother Malcolm, and he said what he said. Now, this is the thing right here about how some black people point the finger at white people. See, that's over. You can't say the white man doing nothing because I got white blood in my veins. So does my children. Okay? So you cannot keep saying that. That's dead, over, dead in it. Stop. Because I have seen two black women get into it. And a couple of months later, one of those black women go get a job, and the other black woman called the job and say, "Don't hire her because let me tell you about her." I have experience trying to go into the Baptist church and the pastor literally taking some hearsay out the street and using it to hurt me. And I almost used because of that. I almost went backwards. Thank God I didn't. Thank God I did not. Thank God I didn't. So you can't use that no more. You cannot do it. It's over. You can just throw that out. There are so many beautiful babies out here. So many beautiful babies. So many beautiful people. So you can't say that no more. You can't say that no more. When we come out of these neighborhoods and we make it, we are helping other black people to see that they could do it. When I look at Senator Warnock on TV and I see him running and I see that black man standing there and I know that he came from the projects that is right up the street from where I live right now, I can look at my sons and myself, my daughters and granddaughters. I can look at them and say, this could be you. If Mary J. Blige believed everything that she had been around, if she gave up on herself like the people she lived around, then we would not have that sister either to tell us how to come up out of these type of things, how to get out these type of neighborhoods. We wouldn't have it. If we didn't have Michelle Obama to tell us when they aim low that we aim high, if she had listened to those teachers that told her, that's out of your league, maybe you should, get like this right here, do this side over here, because that right there might be a little bit too hard for you to do. If she had listened to those teachers, those white teachers that wasn't together, like I told you, all white people are not alike, and I know this. If she had listened to that, then she would not be who she is today. We cannot listen to people. We cannot be deceived in our mind. We cannot be victims of deception of the mind. No more. Even this is a fact. Some people in your family tell you things like, oh man, don't even waste your time with that. They blocking you. You don't need to listen to this person. Look at their life, how they live it. Because they never gave themselves a chance. They never believed in themselves. They never did that. So the government, if the government created the ghetto decades ago and there is still a ghetto, that means that the deception of the mind is still going on and on and on and on, but it only affects certain people, people who don't have hopes and dreams or goals set that they can accomplish. You cannot start setting your goals up here. You got to start where you can make it at first. You conquer that, then you do the next one a little bit higher. Conquer that, then you go do a little bit more. Conquer that, and then you go do some more. You cannot let no one tell you what you cannot do because they did not do it. They didn't give themselves a chance. And if we're going to break down and stop this, every black person is the same way stuff, we got to stand up and show up and show them that that's not true. Every black woman in the hood or ghetto or jungle or trenches or the all familiar name inner city that gets on drugs at a young age does not stay on those drugs. We do not. We grow up, we change our life, and we become women. And we become Black women who are living and who could tell other Black women, other little Black girls to do this. Dream big. That's what we could do. That's what we do. We don't stay hooked on a demon substance. We do not stay under the foot of other people who can't do what we did. We become conquerors and we live to tell our testimony because anybody could write a story, but only a testimony could be told by those like me and it be real. Because let me tell you, testimonies are supernatural and they are real. And demonic forces try to hold us back. And you are easy to be used when you are not knowledgeable of who you are and who your creator is. When you don't know your value, when you don't know that you could get yourself out of that by changing things about you, you better get to knowing this. You better get to knowing that there is hope for you. You better get to knowing that whatever they say you are, that you bigger than that. You better get to knowing that you don't have to blend in with the crowd. You better get to knowing that the big elephant in this room right now is not somebody else. It's not another race. It's some of us. And not all of us are the same way. All of us are not. So when you have hopes and you have dreams, you better have high hopes and big dreams. You set your goals where you can get to them. You have to change the narrative of statistics and you got to beat the odds before the odds beat you. You got to. I want the documentaries of my life to reflect my strength and my courage. When my grandchildren and great grandchildren and great great grandchildren talk about their great great grandmother, Denise Latrell Jenkins, they're going to have a woman that's strong and beat the odds and change the narrative. And that's why they will be where they are at in life because of my struggles. Like I am here today because of my ancestors' struggle. That's why you're here today. So you need to take care of business, your business, before your business take care of you. You need to accept the fact that we are not all the same. You need to accept the fact of who you are. And if you don't like that, change that about yourself for the better. If you're not doing well, change for the better. Change is good. If you don't think you can do it and the people that you around are not doing it, then you need to break away from that. Because bad company does corrupt good morals. And people in groups do things that they wouldn't normally do on their own. And if someone sees that they can easily buy you off to do their dirty work, they will. And if you want to stand for something, if you want to stand up for something, stand up for self for once in your life. Do that. That big elephant in the room is there, and it needs to be addressed. And we need to be, as a people, we need to speak up on that, and we need to stand together for that, because that's the only way change is going to come about. We got to be thinking on the same accord. We got to be doing the same thing. We got to be walking on the same road individually. We got to do this. You got to know your value. Anything worth having is not easy to get. If it's easy to get, is it really worth it? It's too easy. Things that are too good to be true are too good to be true. If there's something that you want, it is not going to be easy to get it, people. We got to get it together, and we got to get it together. And that's the only way we're going to get it, is together. We're like flowers. We come in different colors, different complexions, different mindsets, different views. We could be more than what we are. We could be more than what statistics say. 15 to 44, the males in the inner city. They said you're going to be deceased by those ages, from the ages of 15 to 44. They're telling you that you're not going to make it to be a grandfather. I think not. I think that you will. I think that you will, as soon as you change your mindset, as soon as you devote all of your energy into you, into your education, into your values. We need to know these things about self. We need to know our culture, our heritage, our roots are deeper than slavery. If you've been in prison, then what you need to do, start your support group. Tell other little black boys how bad the food is, how they're going to have someone to have to tell them when to get up, when to stand up, when to sit down, when to go in your room, when to lock it. You ain't gonna have no control over locking your own door. Somebody gonna lock it from a post all the way down there. If you don't come from a well-off family, commissary will be a bad day for you. So instead of bragging about you being at coastal or whatever prison that you was in, tell them the truth. Tell them that in there you are not a man, you a number. Same thing go for women too. Tell them how bad the food is. You get one blanket. You don't have a pillow. You can't get up and walk to your refrigerator when you want to. You got to ask someone to give you a remote control. Some people fight over a TV. They fight over phones in there. Commissary, same thing for the males as it is for you guys. If you don't come from a family that could keep putting money on your book, it's going to be a bad day for you. Washing your clothes once a week. What you got? 2 uniforms? That's it. State issued soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, state issued deodorant, not your girlfriend, not your teen summit. and your what they have a secret and air and extra dry and degree. No, state issued deodorant, state issued soap. You come in, they give you two pair of panties. If your bra not white, they taking it. You're gonna have to sit and squat and cough. Two people get in a fight, say it's 50 people in the dorm. Two people fight. Everybody locked down. And from what I hear, you're always on lockdown. Always. 1 hour this day you get to come out. Do they do it by tiers? Top tier, bottom tier. You're never all that at the same time. That's nothing to glorify. That's nothing to be proud of. So we're going to teach our children in the hood, if that's what you want to call it. Then you teach them to stay free from modern day slavery. You teach them that it's important for education. You teach them to change the narrative about what they say we will do and what they say we won't do. Teach them that. With my experience, my mission, my purpose is to tell my little sisters drug addiction is awful. Going to jail, awful. Going to prison is awful. But it is a way sometimes to you to show you things. Each one, teach one. Let's teach our people. Let's bring back the village. There's no jungle. There's no trenches. There's no ghetto. There's no hood. When we stick together, it miraculously becomes a village because each one teaches one. So that big elephant in the room needs to disappear. And the only way it's going to disappear is if we make it disappear. Please understand where I'm coming from. Understand that a lot of our people are dying by the thousands each year from black on black crime. Take heed to these podcasts about our people, how we need to be together, how you black fathers need to be fathers to these boys instead of these boys going out here in these streets and looking for a father figure and finding the wrong person to follow, becoming a gopher who will go for anything, who will do anything for friendship. You need to be the first man that your daughter experience love with. And I'm talking about flowers on Valentine's Day, little birthday cards showing her how she's supposed to be treated by a man. So she don't go out here and meet the wrong guy. Mothers, be good to your daughters. Teach them. Don't be abused in front of your daughters because they're going to grow up and think that that's the way love is. For them to get beat up in the kitchen and go make love in the bedroom 20 minutes later. Walk around with a black eye in front of your kids. No. Mothers in Black America, you need to do that. You are mother. You mama. You mom. Your mommy. And you are the backbone of your family. And the husband is the house man. He wraps around that house and he holds it together while you stand firm and strong and be the backbone. That's what we need. We need to stand together. We need to teach each other from our pain and things that we've been through so that our people don't make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's what needs to happen. That's what we need to do. We don't need to treat each other badly. We need to stick together. That's what we need. And get rid of that big elephant in the room. I love my people. I do. But I know I cannot be with all of my people. I know I cannot. I know I cannot talk to all of my people. And being that when I was a little girl and my mother used to tell me, Denise, girl, you cannot be friends with everyone. I'm an only child. So I used to just love on people and try to be their friends, and they would be, not the right people. And my mother could see that. So one day she gave me this little example. She said, "Niece, you can take a bag of sugar and you can sugar just the front line of the beach, right there, where the water comes to shore and it goes back out." She said, "Now all this along the shoreline, you can sugar all of that. It'll be sweet. But you see all that dark water way to the back of this beach, all the way deep, you'll never get back there. This sugar won't reach up there. So you reach who you can. When you reach them, then they can sweeten behind them. And then those can go behind them. And then those can go behind them. And that's how you do it." So that's what we do. Each one, teach one. Now, these words, you already know, are so important to us. And these words are something that we must do. We must teach our people, teach our children. And today, I'm going to bring it up a little closer because it's kind of far back. Okay, now here we go. Okay, there we go. We're going to dream big. Okay, you see these words? These words are so important. We got to dream big. We got to use kind words. Say, "I love you," laugh, giggle, be silly, share. Say please and thank you. Be grateful. Keep your promises. Help others. That's what we got to do when we building up a village in the black community is we got to help others. We have got to stick together. We got to help each other. That's important. We got to do that, guys. Um, don't whine. No. Get up off the pity pot and stop doubting yourself. Take a moment to breathe. When we go through something, it doesn't always have to result in a negative end. We don't have to fight. We can talk things out. We are people. Okay? We're not cats and dogs. Okay? Whew. Try new things. Building our village back, destroying that narrative of the ghetto and the hood and the trenches. When we destroy those words, the jungle, the ghetto, the hood, the trenches, and we get our village back. Okay, that's trying new things because the old way we can see that's not helping. That's not helping at all. That's not helping at all. That's why our 15-year-olds and 16 and 17-year-olds are in the graveyard right now. Okay? That's why, right there. Because we're not trying something new. Keep calm and carry on. And last but not least, we gonna laugh out loud. Now, people, let me I wanna tell you something about this here. This right here. When we trying new things. Okay? Um when you don't when you try something new, you are leaving behind the old ways, and something new is about to happen. Now, do you know about the Magi? The Magi is the three wise men that came um, to Jesus' birth with presents. The Magi, okay, the Magi, three wise men. Then you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Okay, in the village, who do we have? We got the village keeper that sits at the gate. That's the person who is not your mama and not your daddy. Then you had your mama and you had your daddy. So the village keeper is anyone in your hood, in your village, that could say, do your mama know where you at? Does your daddy know you're over here? That person. Because in my day, that's what we had. Their names was Miss Alame, um, my mama, Miss Carolyn, Miss Viola, Miss Ida, Miss Mary, Miss Mommy Ruth, um, Miss Ruth, Miss Drayton, Miss Johnny May, Miss Burdell, Miss Hughes and Mr. Hughes called Spud, Miss Liz, Miss Vina. We had Miss Singleton because she sold ice cream. We had Mr. and Mrs. Glover. Down here we had Miss Verdell. We had Verdell Beach, and we have Burnell Jenkins from Hampton. I mean, from Hardyville, South Carolina. We had her, and I said Miss Johnny Mae Griffin and her sisters too, right? Yes. We had Miss Amanda right there, and so forth and so on in that area. My friend Tina and Marlo, their mom and dad as well. I don't know what their mom and dad name was, but I remember them being a part of the village, keeping the children, keeping us in check, calling on the phone. Callan, do you know she around here? Yes, I know she there. You know, we had Miss Ann Dink. We had Miss Jen, Miss Doris. We had Miss Flonnie Mae. We had village keepers, not to mention Uncle Milk Milk, Mr. Roosevelt, Uncle Pepsi, Uncle T Lot, Mr. Dewey, not to mention all the men too now. Miss Cora, Calvin at the store, Miss Big Calvin right there on Staley Avenue, him and Miss Sheila, Miss Effie. We had a lot of people. We Mr. Count and his wife, Miss Dot, the Kaisers, those my cousins. We had a lot of people. So we had people, and that's what we need to bring back to the Black community. We need that village back. We need to get together and communicate with each other. That's what we need to do. If we gonna reckon, let's reckon together in a good way. This is Denise Jenkins with another edition of PLM, People Like Me. Please, I pray that you like and love this Our Father's podcast. Subscribe to Our Father's podcast and give me comments on Our Father's podcast because we need it. Now, I hope this will be the last time that we have to address that big elephant in the room. But even if it's not, I'll be back along with more people like me. You all take care and you have a great day.